This is a Faith FM podcast. You're listening to The Faith Experiment with Robbie Berghan, right across Australia, right here on Faith FM.
Hello there, and thanks again for joining me on another episode of The Faith Experiment. I'm Robbie Berghan, and this is episode number 55 of The Faith Experiment. And this is a special edition of The Faith Experiment because I'm recording this from a undisclosed location here in Australia, but we'll tell you in a second where it is. And I am joined on this particular episode with two amazing guests. I have got on my left here Jolie. Is that right?
Yep,
Jolie?
Jolie.
Not Jolene, but Jolie.
Jolie.
And I have
truly.
Sharnon.
Yes, hi.
Is it Sharnon?
Yes, that's right. Or
Perfect.
Shaz, you can say Shaz.
Shazza. I was going to say Shazza. Shazza. So, Jolie and Shazza, you're joining me on this very special edition of The Faith Experiment. And why it's a special edition is because we are doing this in front of a live audience.
Woo!
Give us a round of applause around and prove that you exist. Excellent. Now, what is our actual location?
Oh,
Can
what
we
is
tell
our
them?
location, Sharon?
I don't know. I like that it's secret.
Should we tell them?
We're in the beautiful Southern Highlands in Bowral in New South Wales.
Yeah.
We are definitely not in Queensland anymore, and it's a lot greener down here. This is a beautiful part of Australia.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know, I think this is my first time to Barrel.
Wow.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We were driving down here this morning, and my wife was looking out at the window in the car, and she was saying, the trees here are beautiful.
They're really good, especially in autumn.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine all the leaves and the change. You actually feel like the seasons in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhat. This is my first year here living in Bowral, and it's colder than I thought
Yeah,
it would be.
as a Queenslander, I found it pretty chilly when I was there.
So none of you are local then?
I grew up down in Wollongong, and fun fact, quickly, my great-great-grandparents founded Kenyon Lee. And my dad was born on their property out there. So
You're going to have to explain Kenyon Lee to me.
It's out on your way towards the Hume.
And what is it?
It's not. I don't think it's really a town anymore. Some people still live there.
It's a place?
It's a place.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
They
Southern
founded
Highlands.
it.
Yeah, they founded it.
Cool.
And my dad was born on their property back in the 30s.
Wow, so you're like famous here.
I don't know if I'm
There's lots
yeah.
of fame going on.
Yeah.
Well, Shazza from Barrel will be very famous after this episode's gone to air right across Australia. Well, as we mentioned, you are listening to a special edition of The Faith Experiment. And if you have missed any of the previous episodes, you won't want to miss them. So go and get your Faith FM app. Go look up The Faith Experiment or go to the website faithfm.com.au, search for The Faith Experiment, and you can catch up on any of the past episodes, including the free offers. Now, Jolie, you don't know this, but we have got a free offer on this episode.
Ooh, so exciting. Tell us.
I don't know what it is yet.
Oh, okay.
But I'm thinking because you and Sharnon
Yes. Hello.
have picked the topic for today's conversation.
Yeah.
Well, let's tell them about the topic first, and I'll talk about the gift.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
What's
Yeah.
the topic?
Do you really want to feel good? That's our
Do
topic
you
today.
really want to feel good? Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Who out there in the audience would answer no to that? Mate, you guys are so lively. It's amazing. If you couldn't hear them, they all said no one would say, I don't want to feel good. So it's an interesting title. I'm going to come back to that title in a second. But you can kind of get the feel that our topic today will be about health. So I thought we will give away a mystery health gift on this episode. Now, we're going to give you a special code word at the end of this episode. You'll text it on our number 04888 45311, and you can claim today's free mystery health prize.
So exciting.
So explain to me why we're talking about health.
Well, you asked us to pick a topic and we looked at each other and we thought,
We're both into health. We work and study in health. And so we thought,
health it is.
yeah.
So Sharon, what do you do in the health space?
I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Nutrition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So unpack that for the person that doesn't know what that is.
So that's a bit of my own testimony is that my life was changed through living a healthier lifestyle, and I am now on the journey to be able to educate and help other people to live a healthier life.
And that's in the area of nutrition, is it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So-
would you like to tell us one cool thing about how your health has changed and why it's impacted you so much? I remember hearing it once when you were doing a talk,
probably
and I
the biggest
appreciated it.
thing was, I don't know, a lot of things have changed. More energy, lost a lot of weight. Like,
Yeah. How much weight did you lose?
So my husband and I, we both did it. Callum, he's in the live audience. There he is.
Hello, Callum.
So between
guys are a cool pair.
we've lost a person. I think we've both. He's
What does
lost
that equal?
how much? Callum
Callum's
lost
lost 38 kilos.
and
Go
I think
Callum.
I've lost around 30.
Oh, go woman.
Wow.
That's
so
amazing.
Just
You
from
guys are
changing our
awesome.
diet. That's
That's
not even
amazing.
changing.
Not even like
our
exercise and stuff?
anything. Just
Whoa,
purely
yeah.
our diet.
Yep,
So
diet
that's
really
the power
counts.
our diet can
Yes.
have.
So
Yeah.
your nutritional advice then will have some power behind the words.
Yes, because I believe it. I've lived it. I've experienced it.
Wow. I want to unpack that some more on this
Cool.
episode.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going with this conversation, but it's going to be
Can
great.
I add? Yeah, I would say diet, it really has a big role to play. I work at a health retreat, and I'm currently working as a massage therapist. But the guests that we have that come, we run our program with a plant-based diet, and we find frequently that people are losing weight, even if they're eating more than they usually would, because we have an amazing chef. He makes amazing food. When I go on holidays, I'm like, I'm not at work anymore. When I eat out, I'm like, it's not the same. But people still usually lose weight if they need to lose it. Yeah, especially if you're going plant-based, it really has a big impact.
So how long have you worked where you're working now?
5 years.
5 years.
About that, yeah.
And so do you
Little bit over.
primarily do massage therapy, is it?
So I'm the therapist, main therapist there. I do a couple of different treatments. Massage is really one of the main ones, and I manage therapies. I do a couple of health talks. I do housekeeping. I do kitchen hand stuff. So a bit of everything.
So for the uninitiated, massage therapist, like many times people think massage is like, oh, I'm going to relax and unwind and get all the, but
right.
it's more than that, isn't it?
It can be. So we have a couple of different therapists. Myself, I'm just Swedish trained, so I don't do remedial.
Oh, that's the really hard one, isn't it?
I
Is that
don't
the one you
do-
walk away, you're more in pain?
Yeah, trigger points and all that.
No one wants to go to Jolie.
Yeah, so I do like a therapeutic massage, but not like one doing trigger points and that sort of thing. So basically, we're helping people to feel relaxed, feel settled in our setting, which can really help them, because most people are just looking for time out. If not, really trying to kick a significant health goal, cutting an addiction or something like that. So.
Wow, so that's a heavy duty counselling and helping and coaching and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, like we're not a centre that people come to if they're going to do rehabilitation, but we do support people's lifestyle change. So, for example, if someone's been drinking a lot and they're getting tremors and hallucinating and stuff like that, obviously they're going to have to go to the doctor first, but we do take people who are wanting to quit smoking or cut down on how much they're drinking and stuff like that.
Wow. Well, listen, we are going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we're going to pick up this conversation, which we're calling this episode,
Do you really want to feel good?
Do You Really Want to Feel Good? And we've got a great giveaway at the end of this episode, so stick around for the code word to get our mystery health prize. But we're going to come back, and I want to, both of you think during the break, I want to take this from a perspective of people in this country struggle with all kinds of health challenges. I want you to tell me what your experience is, what the most common health challenges are, and then let's unpack that from both a biblical perspective, but also from a practical health perspective.
Sure.
All right? So we're going to a short break right now. We'll be right back after this on The Faith Experiment.
You're listening to The Faith Experiment with Robbie Berghan, right across Australia, right here on Faith FM. Connect with us via text message on 0488 453 111. That's 0488 453 111. Or send an email to robbie@faithfm.com.au.
There I was, empty-handed, crying out from the pit of my despair. There you were, in the shadows, holding out your hand, you made me there. And now where would I be without you? Where would I carried my soul from death to life, bringing me from glory to glory. You are my rescue story. You are, you are, you are my rescue story. You are, you are. You were right in the pages before I had a name, before I needed grace. Oh, you sing songs of redemption, 'cause every time I ran away, you were louder than my shame. And now where would I be without you? Where would I be? Jesus, you were the voice in the desert, calling me out in the dead of night, fighting my battles for me. You were my rescue story, lifted me up from the ashes, carried my soul from death to life, bringing me from glory to glory. You were my rescue story. You never gave up on me. You never gave up on me. You were my testimony. Oh, oh, you never gave up on me. You never gave up on me. You were my testimony. Oh, oh, you never gave up on me. Oh, you never gave up on me. This is my testimony. Oh, you were the voice in the desert, calling me out in the dead of night, fighting my battles for me. You were my rescue story, lifted me up from the ashes, carried my soul from death to life, bringing me from glory to glory. You are my rescue story. You are, you are. Oh, you never gave up on me. Oh, you never gave up on me. You are my rescue story.
You're listening to The Faith Experiment with Robbie Berghan, right across Australia, right here on Faith FM.
Welcome back to The Faith Experiment. I'm Robbie Berghan, and this is episode number 55 of the Faith Experiment, which we are calling...
Do you really want to feel good?
Do you really want to feel good? We're in front of a live audience here in Barrel, New South Wales.
Yay.
Do you really want to feel good?
Woo!
Yeah, all
That's the
right.
loudest we've heard them all day.
That was excellent.
guys.
They
That's
do
amazing.
exist. See, Australia. So we could call this the Faith Experiment, the live on the road like show or something
Ooh,
like that.
so cool.
This should be like a new series for you, Robbie.
Yeah.
Like
Do your
live.
faith experiment.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm hoping that after my visit here in Barrel that you guys are going to start creating some content here. Can we make a promise to Australia right here and right now? Oh, that wasn't super convincing. We'll see what happens in the future. All right. So on this episode, don't forget, we've got a great giveaway at the end of the episode. It's a mystery health gift. So you want to stick around for the code word. The number you're going to be texting to is 0488 453 11. That's 0488 453 11. Save it into your phone and wait for today's code word. All right. So on this episode, we're talking about, do you really want to feel well? And before the break, we sort of got to know our guest, Jolie, who is working as a therapist, a massage therapist. I don't think we said where you work. Where do you work?
Yeah,
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, let's advertise.
Go for it.
So I work at a place called Cedar Vale. We are a small team. We are located not far from Kangaroo Valley, so that's about 20 minutes drive from Barrel. Beautiful. It's a bit of rainforest. You come and stay there for either 12 nights or 4 nights, depending on which program you choose. You can cut that in half and do 5 nights if you want. But yeah.
And
I'm
do
at
you
Cedar Vale.
have a website or something you can tell people to go to if they're interested?
So just look up cedarvalehealthretreat.com.
That's it.
And you guys have in the process of opening one down in Victoria,
Yeah,
correct?
we
So those who are
are, yeah.
local to Victoria soon can
Have a look,
Head there.
Keep up to date with the website, and you can see where it's
And if you live in Western Australia, come over for a holiday.
Yeah, we do have people from all over Australia coming to our particular retreat in New South Wales.
Good.
Yeah.
So Jolie is working at Cedarvale, and Sharon, you are currently, you said before, studying
nutrition.
Nutrition.
And I've also previously worked because I have a cert for an allied health assistant, so I have worked as a dietetic aide or dietitian's assistant in the hospital as well.
I have got people sitting here who know things, all right?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I interrupted. I was going to say from my work in the hospital, I know not what to do. Anyway, unpack that another time.
Yes. So what I asked before the break is I wanted to explore, I get listeners texting in from all over Australia on this show. And I would like to know from both of your perspectives, and it's different perspectives, and there's similarities, but from your different perspectives, what do you find is some of the most common health challenges that exist in Australia, or at least the ones that you deal with on a sort of a day-to-day basis? So maybe we'll start with you, Sharon.
Yeah, look, I haven't had sort of yet first-hand experience of major health challenges, but I guess from my own experience and from my studies, I would say the two things that I think are problems for our health is too much refined sugars in our diet and not enough fibre.
Okay, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, not enough fibre.
In my course I've been doing, and this is quite a low amount, 9% of the Australian population, 9% get their recommended fibre intake every day.
So when you're talking about fibre, for an everyday Australian, I'm looking at our audience here. What sort of things are we eating that have fibre that we're not eating enough of?
Whole grains, vegetables, fruits. I've been learning more about resistant starch, which is another type of fibre that actually, it's called resistant because it bypasses your small intestine and can survive into your large intestine and feeds good bacteria there. And it's been known that fibre helps fight colon cancer, which is one of the biggest cancers people are dying from.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much the state of our gut affects our emotions and our mental health. So basically if we have certain gut flora, it's much more conducive to positive feelings as well, even what we're experiencing in our emotions.
So
Can you believe it?
Well, we have a bit of a problem with emotions in Australia, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you just said that people aren't eating enough vegetables. Now, anywhere I go in Australia, people are eating chips.
That's right.
And chips are vegetables, right? Is there something wrong with chips?
Resistant starch.
No, resistant starch actually has to be cold, believe it or not. So if you cook potato or rice, you then have to, when it cools, the starch changes.
Yeah.
And then you have to eat it cold. I've actually been having it through green banana flour and putting that in smoothies.
Yeah.
You can also get it in other...
Or you can have potato salad,
That's
you're
right,
eating the potato
salads,
cold.
Cold rice salad or something like that, you'll get
Can do
resistant
that.
starch.
So just going to
legumes as well, I think, give it. Yeah.
So going to KFC or Macca's, one of these places, getting your chips, not a good supplement?
You won't get much.
they're cold.
You'll get things from KFC, but it's not health.
It's not, okay. Nice, all right. And Jolie, so from your perspective, what are some of the sort of health challenges you see people facing?
Sure. So I'm just speaking from my context at the retreat. So actually, I'm just going to share one to start off with, which is amazing. It actually surprised me that pretty much every guest we have has this issue, and that's sleep. Australians do not sleep well.
That's true.
Really?
Yeah, and the importance of our sleep.
I say that like I have a lot of sleep. But,
It's one of those things I'm working on too.
I'm interested, just real quick. Our people here watching this live in front of us in the audience here, raise your hand if you sleep more than 5 hours a night.
We've got some pretty good hands.
Okay.
Maybe.
So that's probably less. Is that less than half? Right. Put your hands up again. I can't.
Yeah.
You're not high enough. So that's more than 5 hours a night. Is that half? Half a
Maybe.
night? Maybe. Okay. Raise your hand if it's more than 8 hours or more a night.
We've got one.
One person. We'll give a prize out. So what's the average hours of sleep people are getting in Australia?
That's a great question. I don't actually know.
So when you say, okay, as if you say we're not getting enough, what's enough look like?
So I think the main thing that we see at Cedar Vale is the type of sleep. So especially if you're trying to have a drink before you go to sleep to calm yourself down, it's actually affecting your, it's called your REM sleep. I'm not a health professional on this topic.
Yeah, this is just our observations and experiences.
But basically there's that rapid eye movement, like a time period in your sleep. But say if you're having a drink before you're going to bed, that's going to be affecting that, and you're not going to be sleeping well at all. A lot of people are affected by stress as well. That's probably the most significant thing that we see. But yeah, stress, if you're having a drink before you're going to sleep, eating a big meal before dinner can affect you as well. And I mean, Australians, big dinner, that's the way you go usually.
Yes.
But the best way to do it is to have a bigger brekkie, bigger lunch, and have a lighter dinner. But yeah, so stress.
But what if you skip breakfast and maybe or lunch? Is it okay to still have a big dinner?
That's a good question. People who look at intermittent fasting sort of say that your body is still going to be digesting it. But I guess what it comes down to is that your body is going to be trying to rest when everything's happening, when you're lying down, when your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
But it's not when you're digesting. So
you're not really fully rested.
You're not fully resting, but it's better than having, you are still fasting on that meal plan of, sort of skipping your brekkie and your lunch and only having dinner. So it's not as bad, but, your body's not really resting.
All right. So you got two sort of different observations you've made. One is we're not having enough sleep, and the other one is that we're not eating the right nutrition. We don't have the right nutrition. Yeah. So I'm curious, what's, from your perspectives, and again, this isn't official health advice, so,
I'm not a nutritionist yet.
Not yet. So consult your appropriate channels. Yes. But here's my question. What's the solution? Okay, so you said sleep. We're not getting enough sleep. Yeah. How do we improve how much sleep we get?
Right.
And then I'll come back to you, Sharnon, about the diet.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So I'm going to say some big, broad, general things because I think that a lot of this is spread over our whole day. So, for example, if stress is your main issue, then you're going to have to take some steps to reducing that stress. And that might take some pretty significant changes, or it might be something that's easy and small, like, I'm just going to put the setting on for screen time and, stop myself from using my phone right before bed. It could be something small, but for the most part, there's some general changes that you'll need to make to prioritise your sleep. So, can you ask me the question again?
No, that's exactly right. Like, I think one of the questions I would follow up with that is, why is screen time detrimental to your health?
Sure. So basically it's because of the blue light. Our brains respond to either yellow light or blue light, and our screens have that blue light coming from them. Something that's interesting, one of the programs that I do in the evening is sort of looking at how we're affected by natural spaces. And in the morning, there's more of a blue light, and in the evening, the sunset is more of a yellow light.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's amazing how I believe our Creator has done that. If we were more in tune with that natural rhythm, we would be awake more and we would be more relaxed. If we were in touch with that natural light. A lot of us aren't.
Yeah.
I'm not even myself at my workplace, but it's an interesting thing.
So there's a natural rhythm in creation almost.
Yeah, there
that
is.
if we just tapped into that rhythm, we'd be better off.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Sharon, you said one of your observations is that Australians in general aren't getting the right nutrition. You mentioned some examples like that fibre. What was that fibre again?
Yeah, fibre. I think, and your question was, how can we get
so
that?
what's the way to improve that? Because apparently it's not eating my chips.
Chips, definitely not. Look, they're definitely what we would call a discretionary food. And if you look at, just on discretionary foods, if you look at the food pyramid, and the Australian Dietary Guidelines actually do allow for a certain amount of discretionary foods a day, but the serving sizes are like 600 kilojoules. So you're probably looking at 5 chips for one serve or something like that.
Really?
So it's
I don't know if it's 5
unrealistic.
chips. It's like, who's going to sit and eat 10 chips?
Right.
And depending on your age, your gender and your age.
Count them out
you
one
might.
by one.
your allocation might be 1 to 3 serves.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us probably go over those serves of discretionary food every day.
I'm thinking of my friends who are like tradies. They're on the work site.
Yeah.
They're listening to us right now.
Yeah.
They got their meat pie, their sausage roll, their can of Coke.
Chuck it out the window.
Well, they're listening to that and they're like, oh yeah, good for you ladies. You're always,
Got the time.
you're the
Yeah.
health
Understand.
nutters and all that stuff. What's some simple steps
Simple.
that these guys can do to help them have a better quality of life?
I would say when you're choosing foods, choose them in their most whole state as possible. Because once you take that, once they've been refined, there goes your nutrition, there goes your fibre.
Okay.
So
it's closer
if you
to
are
a natural
looking,
state.
if you do have to, you're at the survey, you're looking at a sausage roll and a pie. Get a salad wholemeal sandwich and a fruit juice or a piece of fruit or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that quite
yeah.
a lot of servers now are trying to put in things that have a little bit more of a veggie option. Like, I do think that we're seeing an amazingly different trend, going upward toward more plant-based. Like, there's so many more products available now than what they used to be. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good simple step that anyone could possibly do.
Yeah.
Just make it, instead of picking out of this box, go into that box and pick it up.
And another tip as well, basically, if you have something, say you're having a sandwich, it might be white bread, but if you do have a couple of leafy greens on there, if you do have, say, some hummus on there or something like that, that does make a difference. So if you've got products that are refined, if you can add in something that's high fibre, that will help. It'll help you to transition to higher fibre.
Another tip I have is if you find yourself during the week going to these convenience foods, is take a couple of hours on your Sunday to do some food prep. Prep your salads. Chuck a soup in a pot. There's your lunches for the week.
Well, the good news with that advice you're just giving is that we live in an economy right now where it's getting more and more expensive to buy things.
Yep.
And so it actually saves you money too if you do a bit more prep at home. And if you're prepping at home, you're going to be a bit healthier, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
And legumes are cheaper than meat.
Are they really?
Yes.
See, I don't do the shopping in my house. All right, so we're going to take a short break now, and we'll come back with our next segment, and we're going to talk about this aspect of the question. I want to ask you both, why does it matter? Like, I get people all over Australia going, you can talk about being healthy and all that sort of stuff, but everyone's going to die.
Right.
And you got to die of something, so why does it matter? So when we come back, I'm going to ask you for your thoughts on that question.
Yeah.
All right? So we're going to stick around. We're going to have a code word up after the break, which will be for today's mystery health giveaway. And we're going to go to a song break now, and join us after the song break for the next part of the faith experiment. Do you
really
want to feel good? We're back after this on the faith experiment.
The Faith Experiment is made possible because of people like you. If you enjoy what we are doing, please consider supporting us by making a donation on our website at faithfm.com.au/donate. listening to The Faith Experiment with Robbie Berghan, right across Australia, right here on Faith FM.
Welcome back to The Faith Experiment. I'm Robbie Berghan, and this is episode number 55 of The Faith Experiment, a special edition, not live, but it's live in front of a live audience right here in Barrel. Hello, Barrel. Yeah. Now, on this episode, I have got two guests, Jolie and Sharnon, and you ladies, I'm going to call you experts in your health areas. I know you probably don't want to. Yeah, make you feel good. And on this episode, we are talking about, our title is, Do You Really Want to Feel Well? Was that what it?
Good, well, either.
Good, either. So, right before the break, we were talking about some of the common observations you've had in Australia, what's challenging people's health. We talked about sleep or the lack of it. We talked about nutrition and good nutrition and all that sort of thing. The question we're going to pick up in this segment is, why does it matter? Now, you obviously are both believers. You're faith experimenters, if I can label you with my label.
Definitely.
Which means that we're putting into practice what we believe the Bible is teaching. I personally believe the Bible teaches about health and the importance of it.
Totally.
But one of the questions I get from people around Australia is, why do Christians care, or why do some Christians care about what they put into their body? At the end of the day, doesn't God make everything? He can take whatever you want, and at some point you're going to die anyway, and you're going to get to heaven at some point. So why does it matter? So tell me, why does it matter to take care of your body here and now? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
All right, go, Sharnon.
I think we need to go back to creation. You look at creation. The original diet was plants, seeds, legumes, etc. And our body design hasn't changed since then. So we need the same foods that we were designed to eat, and that will enable us to live in an optimal way. We want to have a long life. We want to have a healthy life. You might live to 80, but if you've got all these health conditions, it's not very fun. It's not very pleasant.
Quality of
pain,
life.
going to lots of doctor's appointments can get very expensive with specialists, etc. like that. God wants us to live a long, healthy life, and not only for ourselves, but because he wants us here on the earth as long as possible so we can share the gospel with others.
Yeah, serve
If
others.
we're at home sick,
Yeah.
how can we go out and
A
share
lot harder.
the gospel with
Yeah.
others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That's
a
what
really
I would say, is start at creation.
Yeah, it's
So-
a really cool place to start at creation. Because it's interesting when we look at when God actually, said that we could eat meat and everything. That did come later. Originally, he said, you can eat from the tree, can eat from these plants, but meat came later. It's interesting as well, like, obviously we've been talking about diet, but there's lots of things that contribute to our health. Like, how much do we take for granted hygiene? We just don't even think about hygiene. But if you go back and you have a look in Bible history, it was actually God who gave hygiene laws to the people of his people. Right at the very beginning, he controlled, had disease control through washing their hands and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, that really has a big impact on your quality of life. Like, we don't think about it now. We're always taking a shower, always doing things to keep ourselves clean.
We have
but
clean water, don't we? We have the blessing, the privilege of something as simple as clean water.
Yeah.
Where a lot of other people in the world don't have that.
Yeah. And I mean, back in the day when you had the Israelites all in a big camp, God gave them hygiene laws. Yeah. So God does care about their health in that respect as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like what you ladies are saying, if you go, like what you were saying, Sharnon, you go back to the original diet, if you want to call it that, it's kind of like, what's the owner manual say for the machinery that is our body? Because we're a pretty complex machine, right?
100%.
Like I used to believe in evolution before I was a Christian. And as an evolutionist, you just look at the body and go, it's incredible, it's complex, it's amazing, but then it just happened to develop that way, right? As a creationist now, I look at the body and go, what an intense piece of machinery we have,
amazing.
Which means the designer is even more intense and incredible, right? And so if the designer designed the body and he says, hey, here's the optimal diet for it, then it makes sense, right? Like, put this in tradie speak. If you have a V8 supercar,
Right.
You don't go and put diesel in it.
No.
You put diesel in it, you're not going to have performance at all. And it's the equivalent with a diet, right?
That's right.
If you don't put the right diet into the machinery, which is our body, you might still function. You're not going to die, but you ain't going to function
That's right.
to your optimally, right? And I like what you said, the hygiene, those sorts of things.
Yeah,
the Bible
simple.
gives us these examples of like, there's a rhythm with God. You mentioned before about rhythms.
Yeah.
There's a 7th-day cycle.
Yeah.
There's a day of rest. So you work 6 days, you rest 24 hours.
Yeah.
There's all these elements tied into Scripture. So it's not just a bunch of have faith in Jesus on this side and do what you want with your body on this side.
right.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Our body belongs to
Yeah.
God. It says, I can't remember the verse in the New Testament, we are temples of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, our body is the temple.
I mean, you look at our church here in Barrel, as members of the church, we take good care of this temple, of our church,
Of the building. Yeah.
Why don't we do it for ourselves?
Absolutely. So what do you think, Jolie?
Yeah, I think as well, especially when I look at how, for example, a plant-based diet impacts how you feel in your emotions and your mental health, our mind is how we connect with God, and if our thoughts aren't clear, we can't, if we're really tired, or if there's other things going on in our digestion or stuff like that, and we can't think clearly, it's much harder for us to sort of have that openness to, have the clarity of thought to connect with God and to have His Word actually go into our minds.
A biblical example of that is obviously Daniel.
Yeah.
When he said, no, I won't have the king's delicacies, which is
Right.
obviously the wine and the meat and
all those
whatever that was. And he said, I'll have vegetables and water for, was it 10 days? 7 days?
Yeah, 10
something like
days.
that.
Yeah.
And
And at the end of the 10 days, he was declared to be healthier.
wiser
yeah.
and things like that
Yeah.
than the ones who had the king's food.
I like this passage. Ladies, remember this passage in 3 John. It's a little letter in the New Testament. And it says this, John's writing, he's one of the disciples of Jesus. He's writing to a church there in that part of the world. And he says, beloved, and that's old language for speaking to his friends, part of the church. He's saying, beloved,
Thanks for explaining.
I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health. And I love this next part. Just as your soul prospers.
Right.
And so what I find here is that, and I found this when I was in my journey of becoming a Christian, is that there's this idea in the Scripture that God wants us, as we prosper in our spiritual life, He wants us to prosper in our physical life.
Right.
And
Praise God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I like about this is that
Yeah.
it's he mentions the spiritual life first
Yeah.
and the physical life follows.
yeah.
Whereas I find like before I was a Christian, my sister, she won't mind me saying this, she wasn't a Christian either. And but she was a health nut.
Okay.
She was not religious,
Yeah.
but she was vegan and all this stuff, right?
Her religion was being healthy.
Being healthy. And she was just like, I'm not eating this, I'm not doing, and she was
Yeah.
super disciplined.
Yeah.
No God in the
That's
picture at all. But her life was miserable.
Right.
And I'm not saying it was because she was vegan or anything like that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that without God in the picture,
Yeah.
the diet didn't make the difference.
Yeah.
She's pretty much kept the same sort of diet side of things, becoming a Christian. But as her soul has grown, her spiritual life's grown, now her whole life is whole.
Yeah.
And so, some people will just want to have the health benefits without God benefits.
Yeah, but you need
it's
God
sort
in
of they're
there.
packaged together, aren't
That's
they?
right. Totally.
The mind
Yeah.
and the, well, I know we're talking about the spiritual, but the mind and the body, they're all connected.
Yeah.
There's been studies showing that we were talking about the gut before and the mind.
Yeah.
I mean, serotonin, which is an important, is it a hormone, I think? Neurotransmitter or something. That is synthesized in your
Someone's
gut.
going to correct me with that.
That's all right.
It's synthesized
Do
in
your
your
own
gut,
research.
and serotonin helps. It's the main thing that antidepressants try to do is to boost that serotonin. To help you feel good and whatnot. Yeah.
So it seems to be important that we get our health developing in proportion with our spiritual
Yes.
life developing. And, both of you ladies are wanting to help people in their health. And sometimes until people's health improves, they're not open to knowing the creator of their life and their beings and their bodies. So we're going to have a short break now. This will be our last break. We'll come back in our last segment, and we're going to take probably maybe one or two questions from our live audience, and we'll have a discussion about it right here on The Faith Experiment. Stick around. Our code word's coming up for today's mystery health giveaway. This is the Faith Experiment episode 55. Do you really want to
Feel well.
feel well?
I thought it was good. What about great? Do you really want to feel great?
We've just changed the title. No problem. We'll see you right after this on the Faith Experiment.
If you have enjoyed this episode of The Faith Experiment, please help us get the word out by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Sometimes I feel so young in my Father's arms, but He shows me how. He knows who I'll become, 'cause He sees the heart of who I am now. I don't need to rush or wait for my future. He knows I'm strong enough, and He has a plan for the girl I am. And when I feel His love, it opens my eyes to all that I have. And it's like waking up, knowing my part, right where I stand. I don't need to rush or wait for my future. He knows I'm strong enough, and He has a plan for the girl I am. And I believe that I will find the best parts of me as I follow His light. I don't need to rush or wait for my future. He knows I'm strong enough, and He has a plan for the girl I am.
This is The Faith Experiment with Robbie Berghan, right across Australia, right here on Faith FM. Listen live or listen later. Get the Faith FM app from your app store today.
Welcome back to the Faith Experiment. This is episode number 55. I am joined with my two guests, Jolie and Sharnon.
Hi.
From Barrel, New South Wales, and we're in front of a live audience.
Yay. They're not asleep yet. It's post-lunch, Sabbath afternoon.
They're still listening to you. No problem. We've been talking about health. I'm going to ask you ladies for the title because I keep forgetting what the title is. It's not written in front of me.
I'll let Jolie say because I changed it.
It's good. Yeah, it's changed a few times. Do you really want to feel good? That's how it started, I'm pretty sure.
Excellent. And the question, I hope, is a rhetorical question, and everyone out there listening is going, well, I want to feel well. I don't want to feel sick or decrepit or anything like that.
Yeah.
We've talked about in this episode from both your health backgrounds and perspectives that there are a number of challenges that we face as human beings here in Australia. You mentioned, Jolie, about the challenges of not getting enough sleep. Half of our audience doesn't get enough sleep by the looks of it. I'm probably one of those people. And you mentioned about not getting the right nutrition, and we gave an example of fibre and those sorts of things, and we said that if you eat vegetables like chips, it's probably not going to help you that much, as an example.
Wait, if you eat... Yeah, if chips are your source of vegetables, it's probably not going to help you.
So get a good balanced nutrition. And then just before the break, we started talking about why it's important to consider what we're putting into bodies, despite the way we feel. I mean, what we eat and the way we live affects how we feel. If it was just for that, that's a benefit.
Yep.
But we've just talked briefly before the break how that biblically God has put this connection between the body and our spiritual life.
Yeah.
And so we've shared a couple of examples of what you could practically put into place. We'll repeat that in just a second. But Jolie, you wanted to share a bit of your story
Yeah.
because it relates to all these ingredients put together,
Yeah,
health,
sure.
spirituality.
Yeah.
Share with us.
Sure. Wow. Cool. So, we've just been talking about how we feel and our diet, and also, you know, we're on the faith experiment right now. And I just want to share a little bit about my own faith experiment. So I always had an interest in health. I grew up, in a family where, our beliefs were, you know, God wants you to look after your body. And, we had a lot of, like, health stuff around, you know, little sanitarium brochures and stuff, and I used to read them because I just thought they were so interesting. But anyway, yeah, so I thought our family was pretty healthy, and I guess we were for the average. But I had quite a lot of, issues in regard to like my digestion and also my skin health. I had psoriasis and I also had really bad hay fever. Like I couldn't go outside the house by the time I was a teenager. I couldn't go outside the house without taking tissues because my nose would always be running. When I look back at that, I also think I went through a couple of times there that were pretty low dips, you know, in regard to how I was feeling. I guess a lot of young people experience that. But when I look back on it now, I think it really was connected with what I was eating and what I was doing. So when I was in about, I think, grade 11, I decided to read a book. Now, this book is going to sound really random, but it was one that was in my parents' library, and it was called Education, which is like, wow, okay, education. But the reason why I was reading it was because, well, I was in grade 11 and I thought, okay, next year is like my final year of high school and I really want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing with my life. I did really well in school and I had a lot of teachers telling me different things I should be doing. Mm-hmm. But I just kept having this question in my mind, okay, but what does God actually want? Because like I mentioned, I was brought up in this family of faith. We were the only the only of my denomination in the whole little town that I grew up in. So It was sort of one of those things that it's like, okay, this is part of my identity, so what do I need to do? So I was like, okay, so how can I use that last year of my schooling and do my very best so that I can do whatever God wants me to do, because I didn't know what that was yet. Anyway, in this book, Education, I made some points about how God wants us to be not only good and working hard with our minds, but also working hard with our bodies. And at that point in time, my mum had decided to gift herself a present for her 50th birthday, and that was to go see a personal trainer, basically. And because she was doing that, I was like, yeah, cool, can I join you? So she was like, sure. So I started doing that, and I did that consistently all the time. And I guess I really enjoyed that. It helped me to reduce my stress. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with food? Well, I had tried different things to sort of change my eating behaviours a couple of times, but it didn't really work for me. Whereas having something else that I could focus on in my health, like exercise, and I'm going to do it. The idea was, right, okay, I'm going to exercise so that I can do my best in my studies, so that I can do what God wants me to do, so that I have that balance between my mind and my body. So I did that. Along the way, my allergies were getting really bad, and Mum's like, why don't you just try, which this is interesting. She said, why don't you just try reducing your dairy or giving up your dairy? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, come on, like I love my cheese, I love my ice cream. And so I was like, oh, well, why don't I try it? Because I did like to cook, but I was kind of like, I don't know, look, I'll just do it for 2 weeks and see how I go. So anyways, by the end of the 2 weeks, I was so much better. So
wow,
that was 12 years ago now, and wow. I've done that, and I've kept that up for the past 12 years. But there was something that really struck me. In my little health journey, there was lots of things that changed along the way. So when I gave up dairy, I had to find new things to eat. I had to get creative and try new things. And so that automatically meant, you know, I wasn't coming home and chucking some cheese on some Saos into the microwave and eating that. I had to find something else to eat. And that, by default, got me eating a lot more whole foods.
Right, okay.
And because I was exercising, I thought, oh, better work on my water too. So all at once, all of these things started falling into place that dramatically impacted my skin, which, of course, when you're a young adult, that really matters. Still matters to me now. I do skin treatments at work. But skin, you know, I felt so much better. Like, I just couldn't believe how much better I felt. Like, I remember one day, I was doing something, I was helping out at school. I could really help out. I think I lifted like a whole stack of chairs, took it across the paddock to put it into the other shed, and I couldn't believe how good I felt. And this little thought came into my head, and it was like, you feel so good just because you followed what God said. And
Wow.
it really struck me. It really, really, really struck me. God genuinely loves us.
Yeah.
Like, this happened because I just followed that advice. And that really, like, that struck me to my core. And that's part of the reason why I work in health. I want people to know, like, God genuinely wants you to feel good. It's not just something for your mind. It will help your mind. But when you do the things that he wants you to do for your body as well, it really makes you feel so much better. And he wants that quality of life for you.
It reminds me of the passage where David says, taste and see that
taste
the
and see
Lord
that the
is
Lord
good.
is good.
And
You've
to
got
me,
to
that's the
try
whole thing.
it.
You've got to experiment with God and then you see the results.
Yeah. So
Well,
that was my little faith experiment.
we want to throw out to the audience here and see if they have any questions for our panelists. Now, they've been here a long time today.
Been very patient.
And they've been very, very patient, but they're still with us? Oh, it sounds like it's getting a bit quieter. But let's see. Is there any questions for our panelists up here in the areas of what we've been talking about? Health, Australian, lifestyle, that sort of stuff. Any questions you want to throw up to us?
Exercise.
So we got a question from the audience. The question is, what's the benefits of exercise and water?
Can I say one benefit of exercise I've learnt this past week? So you were talking before, Robbie, about how we've been created. I'm actually studying right now anatomy and physiology, and mine's just been studying about the heart, and mine's just blown. Like, anyway, I've been learning about, I can't say the word, I'm studying this medical degree and I can't say half the words. But
It's all Latin, don't worry.
basically clogged arteries,
Right.
you know, the deposits and stuff.
Atherosclerosis.
So you've got LDL and HDL, which is your bad and good cholesterol. So part of that deposit is your bad cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
Something that can help that is help the HDL, the good cholesterol, is exercise.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of exercise?
Any.
Like literally just walking around the block?
I'm not studying exercise physiology, so I don't know. But my take on it is do something you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it,
You won't do it.
If you're going to say I'm going to sign up to a gym and lift weights 3 days a week,
And you join up once.
and you don't have the
that.
schedule for it, and
It's
you
that
don't
close, you
enjoy
won't
that,
do it.
Yeah.
but you enjoy going for a half-hour walk in the morning, do that. As long as you're getting your heart rate up and you're moving your body, do what feels good for you and what you enjoy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jolie, in your health retreat you have, I'm sure
Yeah.
exercise is a part of the program
Yes.
over there. What's
Yeah.
the purpose of it? What's the benefit of it?
Has a couple of benefits. So one of the first ones that's really positive that I like to think about is the way that it does boost our endorphins. So it makes us feel good. We do the LIFT project at work. So that's Dr. Darren Morton's project. You can look that up as well if you like. So basically he says just walk for 5 minutes, and then if you feel like doing 25 more, do it. Because by the time you've walked for 5 minutes, you do feel like it. So exercise does help us with things like stress, and it does help us to have more positive emotions. Of course, our body's going to be stronger. It's going to help our digestion as well.
Okay.
So, regulating those stresses, it's going to regulate your circadian rhythm as well, and a couple of other things too. I'm not an exercise specialist either. I'm just a massage therapist, but I guess that's pretty general.
Yeah, nice.
Another tip is if you can exercise outside, you're then also
Getting
getting
the light.
fresh air and
Yeah.
sunlight, which is
Yeah.
we don't have time to go into those today, but another couple of important things that can improve our health.
I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with a medical expert, and they told me that I think it's 80% of Australians are vitamin D deficient, and that comes from sunlight.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So the moral of the story was everyone should be getting outside, and getting some
Yep.
sunlight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about water?
And let's talk about water real quick.
Yeah.
What's benefits of water? Any top of your head?
It's nature's blood thinner.
Okay.
Yep. It'll clean everything out. Pure water. Don't listen to people who say, well, coffee's still got liquid in it. It counts. I don't believe that. Pure water is what God designed us
How much
to
water
have.
do we need to drink? Does it
Actually
matter?
varies. If you go on to, there's a website, eatforhealth.gov. It actually varies, and there's no actual set amount by these Australian dietary guidelines. So, but people generally say about 2 litres. If you think, and it can vary on gender, it can vary on the weather, whether you're pregnant or breastfeeding, things like that. So it can vary.
So do a bit of research.
A good way, they actually advise a good way, and I might get a bit TMI here, but a good way to know whether you're dehydrated is to look at your urine.
Yeah.
If it's
gotta be clear.
dark, you've got to get some water into you. So basically.
So, watch what's coming out and you'll know what to put in.
That's right.
Check the toilet.
All right. Well, that's been a really interesting episode. Thank you, ladies, for joining me for this
Thanks
episode.
for having us.
And I really hope that wherever you are in your faith experiment, that you would consider experimenting with your health as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
a
simple
faith
things.
experiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's simple. We've talked about some very, very simple things. Maybe just set a reminder on your phone to stop using it.
Right.
20 minutes before you go to bed, just get better sleep. Yeah. We've talked about getting a bit of exercise in, drinking some more water and making some more healthier choices when it comes to what we're putting into our bodies. Yeah. And these are all things that you could put into practice this afternoon.
Yeah.
And doesn't require a membership. We're not trying to sell you anything. Just we want you to, as the Apostle John said, we want your health to prosper as your soul is prospering as well. Well, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of The Faith Experiment. We have got a mystery giveaway. It's a health-related book that you'll be able to claim. To claim today's free offer, take out your phone right now and send a text message to the show. The show's number is 04 888 453 11. That's 04 888 45311. Now, what you want to do in this episode is text the code word hash, that's the hash symbol, and then followed by the letter FE for Faith Experiment and 55 for episode 55. So that's hash FE 55, and you will be asked for your name and address, and we will get this great free mystery health related giveaway sent out to you as soon as possible. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me on the episode.
Thanks, Rob.
Look forward to having our listeners on the next episode of The Faith Experiment. And thank you, Beryl, for being a live audience.
You have been listening to The Faith Experiment with Robbie Berghan, right across Australia, right here on Faith FM. Connect with us via text message on 04888 453 11. That's 04888 453 11. Or send an email to robbie@faithfm.com.au and let us know what you thought of this episode. If you have enjoyed this episode of The Faith Experiment, please help us get the word out by sharing our podcast with your